Hello, and welcome to another Have You Seen with Nick and Lance. This time being my turn, and I decided to ask if you'd ever seen Annihilation, which is relatively new, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
One I hadn't really seen before until like a couple weeks before I kind of like popped the, like asked the question to see if you had seen it before, because I don't know, there's some things I want to bring up, but this one is one that was always kind of looked interesting, but I just never got around to seeing.
Same. When we saw the trailers for it, Amber and I really wanted to go see it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Never got around to it.
Yeah.
And then when it was on a friend of ours' Plex server, we really wanted to see it. Never got around to
Never
it.
got around to it.
So it looked just interesting enough to really want to see it, but just you know,
And then a lot of familiar names, especially if you know Marvel, because it's got, Natalie Portman,
mm-hmm,
Tessa Thompson, Oscar Wilde, Benedict Wong,
mm-hmm.
other people that are probably famous, but, I tend to watch few movies. So my breadth is not particularly wide for a bunch of the names in this particular movie.
I can't look it up.
Yes, well, apparently if you just want
I have to avoid it like the plague.
to. Jennifer Jason Lee as the doctor. I don't know her.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer Jason Lee as
Dr. Ventress,
Ventress.
whichever the well, we don't want to get into spoilers yet. And the internet is being very difficult for me.
It does that sometimes.
Yeah. Sonoya Mizuni
Who?
as Katie.
Oh,
David
okay.
Gyasi, Oscar Isaac, as we said. John Schwab, Gina Rodriguez. That's a name I know, but I don't know what from.
So Gina Rodriguez is, I think she's on Jane the Virgin.
Okay.
Because I think she plays like a bunch of cutesy characters. Because when I saw her at first, I was like, hey, it's the other Rodriguez.
Oh yeah. Not Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, I thought it was Michelle Rodriguez at first. And I was kind of like, no, no, she's way too fresh face.
Yeah.
Fresh face.
A thing we forgot.
Yeah, well, I already kind of knew what you were going to, I think I already know what you're going to give this movie, so I'll just pick it. Yeah, it's,
I guess before we get into too many opinions.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. So this is the part where we try to guess each other's scores from 0 to 10. 0 being dog shit, 10 being oh my god, it's one step below cats, and yeah, and 5 being right in the middle because why not?
A lot of movies are kind of like okay. A five's not something you regret watching, but it's not really one that's going to occupy much of your brain power once you've stopped watching it.
Changing my number. I'm fucking up right now. I know I am. That's okay. I'll stick.
So, Lance, from 1 to 10, what would you give Annihilation?
I would give this movie a 8.
Ooh, okay. I'm a little low.
All right. How about you, Nick?
I think I'm going to give it a 7.
I need to start going with my gut more often.
What were you originally thinking?
I had an 8, and I was kind of like, okay. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's what you're giving it. You need to think about Nick. And then I sometimes I always go one step higher. So I was like, I'm just going to go down one.
This was one I
Just to
wasn't
see.
sure if you would be super into. It's interesting, which I guess, spoiler warning, if you've not tracked down Annihilation, I suggest you do so. It's an interesting watch. Is it one that you're going to go back and rewatch? I mean, I might get one rewatch out of people, I think.
Yeah, if
As
it,
kind of you've gone through it and seen what it's about, let's go through and see if I pick up more stuff.
so I don't know if he sold it to you enough, but I watched this movie 2 times.
Oh, did you?
I did. I watched it, and then I went, I'm gonna watch that again, and I watched it again to see if anything else poked out at me.
So I ended up watching it twice as well, mainly because I wanted to watch it first to see if I liked it. And then after that, I brought it up here, and then I rewatched it again just to make sure
Okay.
to refresh my memory so that we could talk about it fully, despite the fact that it's really only been a month and a half since I've initially seen the movie, so it's not that long.
If you've been just kind of stringing it along for a while, and you're just kind of like, I'll get around to it. Now's the time to get around to it because
It's good.
it's a very good movie.
And it's not super long. It's like an hour and 55 minutes, so almost 2ish hours. It's not like a slog like some movies are. Even good movies that are long sometimes feel like a slog.
Yeah, and
This one doesn't feel like it.
even if you think like the patient's dragging in the movie, like the movie is beautiful to behold.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So like you are in for a little bit of a feast for the eyes with this
Yeah.
movie.
And it's kind of a psychological thriller or
Mm-hmm.
horror in some ways because it's kind of got a little bit of body horror aspects to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good watch.
There's
It's a thinker.
the bear.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
bear.
That's creepy.
The bear almost made me knock my fucking monitor off my desk. Like that, and we'll get to it.
So-
but you've been warned.
So seek it out if you can. I think it's worth a watch.
Yes.
Okay.
You going? All right.
All right. Here we go.
That fucking bear, dude.
Isn't that so creepy?
It was like. Okay, so I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I've been like
By
waiting
a lot.
all day to fucking talk to you about this. So, okay,
It's-
we'll get to it. Okay, so let's start from the beginning.
I mean, the movie itself is kind of about, like, I guess the self-destructive tendencies of people as well as also cancer. I mean, it's kind of there, but cancer is kind of the body self-destructing in a way. So it's all kind of about, like, I don't know, the ways people kind of tear each other about, or not like how it changes you on the outside, and are you even the same person once you come through it? Like, metaphorically. But then you just, as the movie itself, I mean, you could watch it for, I guess, the literal aspect of it and be entertained, or you can watch it for the metaphorical aspect and kind of pull something out of it too.
So to me, this movie was just basically it was change. Mm-hmm. So if you have self-destructive tendencies, like I smoke, I know it's killing me.
Oh yeah, I drink way too much fucking soda and far too sedative.
We know it's killing us, but we do it anyways. This movie is basically it's forced change.
Yeah.
And this thing shows up and basically just doesn't understand, our world. So it basically starts. To me, it was taking molecules and what was it? It was basically taking molecules.
And like refracting them.
Well, it was refracting them, but I think it was also viewing kind of like outside of what was going on. Anything that like came into the dome, I think it basically like taking every little cell it can, every atom around it, and
Yeah.
it's basically it has what it knows,
Yes.
and then it has the environment that it's in.
Yeah, and I don't even know that what it's doing per se is something it's consciously doing so much as, like, its arrival here just kind of starts fucking the world up and rearranging the atoms in different ways, and
It's basically it's playing jazz.
it's like a cancer cell. Like,
Yeah.
cancer doesn't know it's killing you. It's just there, like, how about some teeth? How about some hair? Let's see what else is going on in here.
Yeah.
And just doing its thing.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Because I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that was what the movie was going to be.
I didn't know much about it. So one of the reasons I was like, ooh, this movie could be interesting is it's directed by the Alex Garland, the same guy that did Ex Machina. Mm-hmm. And he did the screenplay for Dread, and essentially directed Dread, from what I understand, in that there is an official director, but he was kind of like the one that was kind of like there. So
Interesting.
two movies I know we enjoy.
Oh yeah, it's,
So I kind of put Annihilation like on a shelf. Like, I'll get to that at some point.
I might have to give him the Edgar Wright treatment and start looking at all the movies he's done so far.
It's not a huge list from what I can see.
He's a new guy.
I don't even know if I would say new per se.
Well, good. That's not a big folder I have to dig through then. So
So he's a writer on Men. No, that's something new that's coming out. Never heard of it. Devs is a TV show. Annihilation. He's written for some video games. He wrote Ex Machina. Screenplay for Dread. More video games. Screenplay for Never Let Me Go.
Vid games.
Yeah, his TV series Sunshine is a movie that he's wrote. A novel
I don't know.
written by, or 28 Days written by.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, 28 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Rage Infected Monkeys.
His actual director credits are 4 movies: Ex Machina, Annihilation, Devs, and Men.
Okay.
And Devs is a miniseries, someone I've never heard of, and Men I've never heard of either.
I think I saw a little clip of Devs. Either way, this is not here nor there.
Yeah. So far, of 2 of the 4 things I've seen of him, good.
Yeah, like this is just my interpretation. It's probably completely wrong because this movie does leave you a lot of leeway to like draw your own conclusions on a lot of stuff. But I think when it hit the lighthouse, then the area of effect spread And as it kept going, whatever it encountered, it was just basically rearranging things as it encountered them. I thought one of the most visually stunning things were the people made of plants.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really fucking
And
interesting.
just how like Tessa Thompson just kind of like gave into it and let herself become one with it.
That
with the change that was
transformation
going on.
was super fast.
Yep.
Because,
I
like,
think she just gave up, kind of.
well, yeah, I don't want to kill it, and I don't want to hunt it, or I don't want to kill it, and I don't want to understand it. I'm going to go in
I'll
another way.
just become it.
Yeah, and like the leaves grew out on her fast, and they didn't cheapen her exit with like showing her turning into the tree. It was just she turned a corner,
It's just
and
kinda
she's just gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this movie was a very unexpected pleasure for the fact of the way that the thing was freestyling. It gave you real no indication of what's going on. Of course, you know it's aliens.
Yeah, but, they kind of spitball at the beginning. It could be biblical. It could be religious or whatever. It could be alien. It could just be fucking what the world's doing to us. Who knows?
So I was going to try and I was trying to use my big brain on this one as it was going through, and I was like, okay, wouldn't it be interesting as if the dome was like a matter replacer, where it took matter from, like, there's a dome on its world somewhere,
Oh,
and
okay.
the dome around that was like turning into Earth.
Okay.
To
Like a terraformer kind of.
yeah, kind of, and then the dome here was turning into its planet, kind of a thing. I was like, that'd be kind of interesting. No, alligator showed up, and I was like, okay, that's not it. And then, I started thinking about it. On the outside of the lighthouse was all the vines. You had all the plant matter that it ran into first. The alligator had shark's teeth, but that was because the dome was halfway out over the ocean. So I could only imagine what the fuck was swimming out
It
there.
was just rearranging it in some way. Because even
Yeah.
like the vines or whatever that were growing a bunch of different plants, but they're all coming from the same thing. So it's not different species, but it looks like it should be. So when you
Yeah.
look at the alligator, it doesn't look like it should be one species either, but it's got rows of teeth like sharks, and it's just kind of a different coloration and bigger, and I could take bullets.
Yeah, it was just basically it was just splicing. It
Yeah.
was just taking everything and just sticking it together. And because it was in a world where it didn't know what things were or what their function was, it was just jamming shit together. It was essentially playing God.
Oh, yeah. And it was like taking plants and giving them kind of human genomes in that, like, like when the body is forming whatever, the DNA just kind of knows that this is going to be a liver cell and like this is going to be a heart cell. So it just kind of starts forming those from the same code or whatever. So it just kind of took the plants, took that code, and it's kind of like, there should be something here that looks like this, and it just kind of grew in a humanoid shape.
It's fucking weird, right?
It's weird.
Science is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Nature, you scary as fuck.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it was. I just thought that was really, really kind of interesting. I liked the way it started out with, her little bit of story, what was happening, what led her up to this, and then Oscar Isaac just showing back up. And then that something the fuck is wrong. Like,
yeah,
just,
because he's not normal when he comes back in.
yeah, when he's standing at the bottom of the stairwell and he just kind of like looks up and stands there, I was like, okay, something's fucky here. But yeah, that whole part of him showing back up, what led her to going there, I think they could have done without the affair.
It's just kind of showing her self-destructive tendency too.
Sure, but I mean, I think her wanting to get to the bottom of what the fuck was wrong with him was enough to get her in there.
Sure. But I think it's kind of, she felt guilt in the affair, so it's not just about going in to save her husband or whatever. It's about like she owes it to him.
I owe him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it pulled down the movie, especially when it would like flash over to it real quick, and you're just like, okay, what's the context of this?
Okay.
I thought it was interesting when she got the bruise, and she was like, it's just a bruise,
And then it kind of became,
and it turns into an Ouroboros.
yeah, like an Ouroboros tattoo or something like that.
Yeah.
That one of the other characters had.
Well, so I'll be honest. I watched a video.
I watched a couple of people kind of talk about it, trying to like piece it together myself and see if they came to different conclusions. Like I listened to them, like it's about self-destruction. I came like that's cancer, and that just kind of the way it kind of twists and how it kind of like fucks with your life. And even if you make your way out of it, you're a different person than when you first started. And they just kind of the videos I watched talked about just self-destructive tendencies in general.
I thought it was interesting. I watched Chris Stuckman, and he said that when he got out of the movie, he stopped and was talking with three of his other friends, and each one of them had a different opinion of what the movie was about. To me, the movie was about forced change. It was, we get on this world, we kind of figure out what our path is, and we try to stay as close to that path as possible, even though we take, a path of self-destruction. Ultimately, we're kind of like, we want our lives to go in a particular trajectory, but this movie was basically, it was fucking jazz. It was just this entity free forming.
Yeah.
There was no trajectory. There was no fucking like ending destination. It didn't give a shit what it was putting together. It was just putting stuff together. Now, whether that was even it putting things together, like,
or just its influence.
yeah, I feel like the dome, like the shimmer itself was just the being. I think that what came into it as far as like Oscar Isaac and her, I think that was just the shimmer creating those things because that was what was there at the time.
Yeah. Like it's just it's a life that's a reflection or something like that. Because like when he showed up, it made a reflection of him. When she showed up, it made a reflection of her.
And then it gets into your body and like starts kind of fucking with it. Like the part where they cut the dude's stomach open.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Like that was fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. He's like, what is it? What's going on? I was like, you don't fucking feel that?
I think that's why. Even the one more soldiery chick or whatever, the one that was an addict, was going on about like I can look and see my fingerprints moving.
Yeah.
And I can feel my insides like moving. So it's kind of,
is it in me?
it's like, dude, there's something in me. I want you to cut it out. It's like, oh, unfortunately, it's you. You are what's moving inside you.
Yeah, I was gonna open myself up and take a look, but I'm not the one tied to a chair. I was like, oh shit. And like the thing I loved about that was like when the whole time she was talking, they're just like, okay, she's losing it. She's losing it. And the second she's like, I'm not the one tied to a chair, they're like, like they started freaking the fuck out because they knew it was cutting time.
Yeah.
But then that bear showed up.
Yeah. And it's like it imprinted on a memory of. I'd wonder if like if it ate, because when you found the body of the woman, like all that was really missing was with her throat. I wonder if it like ate the throat and it like integrated with it or something like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or if like her dying memories just kind of got absorbed into it, and the last thing she was feeling was fear. So it was just kind of emulating that fear that was imprinted upon it.
I think it was less of an emulation and more of a
Integration.
union, an integration. Like it was, because I thought that was like the most interesting thing about the movie was as like when it started doing her voice, like dude, I seriously almost punched my monitor at work. I went back and watched that part like 10 times.
It was so creepy.
It was so fucking weird and creepy, but it was so impressive how they did it. And like how it got up in their fucking ear and was like, yeah, help, it hurts. I was like, oh my god, dude, like that was so horrifying. Like I'll just go ahead and say it, that was one of the more impressive scares I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And like, I mean, it being CG or whatever, it looked real enough.
I thought the CG in the movie is fantastic.
It's good. Because they have enough of it that kind of looks dreamlike anyway, that it kind of all meshes together in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like this movie feels kind of surreal.
Yeah, it was Cordyceps 2.0, like the people exploded on the wall and shit.
Yeah.
But that was even really fucking cool looking.
Yeah, he was just kind of like, he became the mushrooms on the wall.
Yeah, and like how his head separated and shit. Like,
yeah, like where he got cut just kind of like opened himself up and spread him up up the side of the pool.
Yeah, he did the fucking like straight up like which creep up the fucking wall. I was going to make a joke at the beginning of this and say welcome to our review of The Thing 2.
Yeah.
Because it was just basically sampling every fucking thing.
Yeah.
And just being like, what happens? What, shark? Alligator. Like it was just.
At least in The Thing, whatever The Thing was, it's a nice happy union. They're all working together to try to get off this planet.
Yeah.
And this thing, there's none of that working together.
Yeah, and you would figure. The two problems I had with the movie was the affair flashbacks. And the other problem I had with the movie was it wasn't learning from what it encountered. or it just didn't care.
Yeah.
Because
I
it
don't
is,
even know if it knew.
well, it assimilated Oscar Isaac, became another Oscar Isaac, and then had enough of him that when he walked in the house and looked at her, he was like, I recognized you.
But I don't even know if that was it. It was just a reflection of him, and it kind of just existed.
Right, but it existed, but it knew enough that when it looked at her, it was like, because all he did was just say, if you find her. And then it was going on, it almost seemed like it walked out of the shimmer and found her house and just showed the fuck up.
No, I don't even know if it left the shimmer, because I think when he talks to it, like, he just showed up. It's like he was in the shimmer, and then the next moment he was in their house. Hence why he walked up and he was like confused as fuck. So I don't think he meant to be there.
Really?
I think so. That's kind of what I took from it. Is that it was more of, it's not like he left the shimmer and walked all that distance and happened to get there. I don't know. I mean, maybe that happened, but I just kind of got the impression that like he was just there, or maybe there was gaps in his memory or something like that. But
I don't know. Like, I don't think he teleported or anything like that. It's like, I don't think it can push. It didn't seem like it could exist that long outside of the shimmer, because like when it was in there, it was secure and like it was fine. And then when it got out, the first time it drank fucking water, it's like all of its organs started shutting the fuck down.
yeah,
So maybe it just formed there.
yeah, or maybe it was just a memory gap or whatever.
I don't. That's a good question. I don't
Yeah,
know.
who knows?
But
And I don't know that I don't even know if we're meant to know.
no, this movie, like the ending, is so fucking like.
Yeah,
Just do what you will.
Yeah, come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
And I think it's very metaphorical, and you could probably take a literal interpretation of it, because you can just watch this movie for what is here, and like take all that metaphor shit and just like I don't care about that shit. I watch movies for what's going on, and I think there's enough shit on the screen that you could come to your own conclusions and be like, oh my god, they're going to infect humanity or whatever, and kind of get your own interesting ideas out of that, like completely different from maybe what Alex Garland was kind of maybe intending you to feel. But at the same time, I don't know if he cares. You could watch it and pull what you want from it.
I think it's just basically there to inspire conversation. Like the movie was engaging. It had a narrative and it had a place where it was going. I felt like it kind of lost its voice near the end of the movie. Just because most of the stuff that happened with the alien, I was somewhat uninterested about. Like, how does it not know what a fucking white phosphorus grenade is? He literally watched the other guy like burn himself to fucking death with it, and then it was just.
But that was Oscar Isaac.
Sure. Like to me, it's like it's all one fucking big entity.
And I don't know that it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again,
Yeah,
I don't think we'll ever know.
I don't know.
But to me, it was like this was just a zone, and like the zone was the thing.
So I wonder if maybe it was like essentially like a piece of uranium or something like that, and it's just kind of radiating out this sort of energy that's kind of warping everything. And then once she went in and destroyed it, the radiation stopped. Therefore, everything just kind of it stopped growing. I don't know that things reverted, but it kind of lost that power source that was keeping it all going. Because like the trees started like splintering and stuff. The glass, whatever it was, I guess they were trees.
The crystals?
Yeah, it was like it took the sand and rearranged the sand into
Yeah.
glass structures.
It made them like crystal fucking palm trees.
Yeah.
Like, I guess in my head, it was kind of like, okay, you start at the lighthouse, and everything in the lighthouse is every bit of information you have to work with. And then as it expands and it gets this fucking phone, the next thing you know, people have phones growing out the side of their head. As it expands, it gets this microphone. Like, I sound like I'm fucking got a microphone, like bullhorn voice. Like, to me, it was like it was just taking ingredients, and as new things were introduced, it was just jamming shit together. Like, whenever Natalie Portman looked at her blood and saw that it was like red and shimmery, and then it split, and then it started, like, it was kind of like when that split, was it going, I want you to be a dog-faced ninja now. And next thing you know, she starts growing a fucking muzzle and a fucking headband, because apparently it couldn't just make material too. It was, to me, it was almost like it was a gigantic 3D fucking printer that just was like an AI that was just like, we're going to take a little of this and this and this, and I'm just going to jam it the fuck together.
It kind of does feel like if you just put a prompt into like AI and get a thing out, and then feed that picture back in and be like, make slightly different, and then it just kind of like you get it like a coherent picture, and then like the AI just slowly warps it as it's kind of like, there should be another hand here.
Like that's the way I took it.
Yeah.
It was just a matter rearranger.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was very interesting when they opened up the mouth of the gator and they were like rows of teeth, like a fucking shark. And then you realize that it hit the lighthouse, it's over the beach. So, like, there are things in the fucking ocean that had, like, fucking bear heads and shit like that, like, whatever it encountered. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of the stuff that was, like, around that was, like,
The, like
fucked
the
up.
more literal bits of what it was doing.
Yeah, because like the plants, it's like it had an understanding of flowers. They grow from here, and you have all these different species of flowers. So then, not only was it putting every single flower on one fucking vine, but then it was mixing them together. So like tulips were a different color, and they had
Yeah.
a different stamen and like different leaf pattern.
And you had that kind of like deer gazelle like sort of critter that was like mirrored. They look kind of plantish too.
Yeah, they had branch horns. But like the thing I was wondering about that, because you had the duplicate Oscar Isaac and you had the duplicate Natalie Portman.
And I think those were meant to be duplicates too, because they were mirrored of each other.
Yeah, like they were doing the same thing. It's like the one in the back was kind of like the one in the front, but it wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just the movie is very ambiguous, and it's these kind of movies that I really dig because it gives you just enough information to go and have fun.
Yeah.
And you could just start fucking going crazy in your mind. Doctor
Ventress?
Ventress.
Yeah.
Dr. Ventress I thought was fantastic
She was really good.
because she was so fucking cold and like
It's just that person that sort of they knew they were coming here. She knew she was coming here to die. Or expected it anyway.
Well, so I think she knew she was going to die, and then she got tired of sitting outside this fucking place watching it grow, sending crew after crew after crew in, and then she was like, I'm dying, and I'm sending perfectly healthy people in to die.
Yeah.
So I think it's my fucking turn because I have all these questions and no fucking answers. So she was like, fuck it, I'm going in, I'm going to die anyways. You had the girl who's the cutter, who she just wanted to feel something, which made a lot of sense when she said it, because you could tell that girl was like,
She was quiet and reserved.
yeah, super quiet, super reserved, probably extremely socially awkward. So she didn't like thrust herself out there. So like there'd be a lot of like, I guess, dull nights of just being in your house and fucking like that girl was so brilliant. Like how fast she picked up on it's fucking like it's basically was it called mitosis or something like that, where it's just like this is human DNA.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's impossible. And it's like, well, not in here. Like it's this is what it is.
Yeah, she was the one that mentioned like that. It's like how light refracts off of a prism or whatever. It's like reflecting just genetic information off itself like a prism.
But it even went deeper than that, because she was like, we thought it was reflecting the satellites from the prism on the outside, but even the radios that were inside together on the same frequency, even those weren't connecting.
Any sort of signal that is ever sent is just kind of like refracted, whether it be radio, genetic. It's all just kind of like bouncing around and
Yeah, and radio waves are atoms. So I wonder if it was grabbing the atoms and fucking being like, have some fucking radio waves in this flower or something like that. Who knows? They could do anything they want with it. But I did want to see more of the fucking genetic mutation things.
they were very interesting.
Yeah. The tower or the lighthouse at the end was interesting. I'm glad they didn't have the fucking thing of like, go up to the light and find out what's going on. I thought it was also cool, like, when the comet hit the fucking tower in the beginning, there wasn't like a big boom or anything like
just,
that.
Like popped in, and it just kind of makes you want to like. I'm kind of missed it the first time walking through, or watching it, just because it was like so not called attention to or whatever. That when I watched it the second time, I was like, oh yeah, I guess they did do that. Like right, they show you that it's a comet right from the beginning.
Yeah, and then like there's a hole in the town, there's a hole in the lighthouse, and then you could see the hole where it struck the fucking ground and like went down a little bit. And like I thought that was kind of fucking cool. But I also thought it was neat that the second that fucking thing contacted with the lighthouse, it's like it made that bubble around itself right then and there, where you didn't hear like a boom or anything like that. Thought the concept of it basically spreading like a fucking plague was pretty interesting. I thought it was neat the first time Natalie Portman like walked out and looked at it, and she's like, "Yeah, it's fucking crazy, right?" And it's like, It's, it got week by week, day by day. Eventually it'll be states, or counties, then states, then the fucking who knows.
Yeah.
Which leads me to wonder, does it stop at the planet? Does it keep
Oh,
like,
would it keep expanding
yeah,
outwards?
would it hit the sun? Like it came from somewhere. Mm-hmm. I want to know, did it travel here? Like I know the author wrote the books. I don't know if the book is a one shot or not, but like, was it in some, did it just get here by chance?
Oh,
Is it Clark Kent and it just got shot out in the fucking space?
it looks like it came here on a meteor or something like that. So I don't think it was purposeful. Maybe so. Its world got like hit like millennia ago, and this piece of rock has been hurtling through space forever, and this thing just survives.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't even know. Like, one of the people that I watched in one of their reviews was calling it like an alien, and I honestly, I don't think it was the alien. I think I think the shimmer itself was the alien.
Well, I think that people call it the alien because of the soundtrack or whatever. Because I've watched someone talk about how they love the song. I think the song when the thing shows up is literally called "The Alien."
Okay. I mean, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I loved when she shot it with the fucking gun the first time. The bullets that went through were doing those crazy fucking swirls behind it.
Yeah, like it just kind of took the bullet and adapted it or something like that. It's weird.
Yeah, it was neat. The mirroring of her was interesting. Her being pushed to the door because she was pushing to the door, so it was pushing to the door.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like mirroring her. She showed it violence, so it's kind of showing her violence.
Yeah.
When she was finally calm, it kind of like calmed down.
Well, what I was doing is like when she's like, and then it was like, and then what I would have done would have been like, okay, well, honestly, I would have backed up, then I would have turned around because when it wasn't looking at her, it wasn't mirroring her. It was like literally looking at her. I would have backed up, I would have turned away from it, then I would have shuffled to one side, then I would have turned around. If it was over there, then I would have just walked right the fuck past it while looking at it as I walked by. And then I would have punched myself in the face so it would knock itself the fuck out and run out the door. But yeah, the movie had a great, it was almost, to me, it was almost like a perfect storyline. You go in because you want answers. Mm-hmm. You can't go back because you have to have answers.
Yeah.
But once you're in there and you start finding the fucking breadcrumbs from the people who came before, you're not getting the fuck out.
Yeah.
So...
in trying to find the answers, you find some answers, but you also kind of find more questions, and you end up leaving just a different person, if you even leave at all.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that ending. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you think was happening there?
Like after she left, or like through the entire encounter with the alien itself?
Well, both.
Okay.
Like,
So I don't know if the way it kind of showed itself is she escaped, but I don't even know if we know that what escaped was her. It could have been the creature that left. Probably not, because I mean everything around it kind of crumpled to the ground. Mm-hmm. But who left was not just her anymore, because I mean she had the tattoo on her arm. She didn't have that originally. It was like the soldiery girl, the addict one. That was her tattoo. So she just kind of reflected it, I guess, and now she's not who she was anymore.
Yeah. The other thing that I also thought was interesting was the batteries on those cameras are impressive. Kidding. Like I don't know what the deal is with that, but like that's just me being a nitpicky bitch. Because when they found
it seems like time works weird there anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the one that was the lighthouse. Like it didn't seem like a whole hell of a lot of people made it there, and those who did, like you had the 10 skulls outside that had the rib cage and everything propped up, and then the only one that was inside was Oscar Isaac. Mm-hmm. So, also, while I'm thinking about it, when Ventress is in there, like talking to herself, like down in the crater, like. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it looked like she didn't have fucking eyes.
Yeah, like her face was weird.
Yeah, like her eyes looked like they were smoothed over, but then when she turned around and looked at her, like they were there. And then when she released herself, it turned the fucking like trans-dimensional gateway butthole thing, which was something. It was really...
Yeah, that looked like one of those magic eye pictures, kind of. Just kind of like a series, like a mathematical series or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a kaleidoscope. It was fucking weird, but it was interesting. Like all that was very interesting. And then when she gets out and she's doing the whole like telling Benedict Wong like her story, I loved how he was taking it from well, how come you? Why
Yeah.
did you survive? Very convenient that nobody else is here to tell this. You know, what did you do with this? And it's like she literally told you that I lied to her so I can go in deeper. That is not something you do if you're like I'm innocent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you're guilty of doing all that stuff, you would have lied.
All of it. You had made yourself look like a fucking angel.
So one of the theories I saw brought up that is kind of interesting is how they go into the shimmer and then they wake up and it's like 3 days later. People have suggested that they go in and the people that wake up 3 days later are actually reflections of them and they died like immediately or they're off doing something else and we're actually following people that aren't really them, but just like copies of them.
I mean, if you want to even get crazier than that, like maybe day by day, it's just another
So,
copy. It's another copy. It's another
yeah.
copy, and that's why the body's breaking down because it's a perfect as you body that goes in, and then as it's making you, maybe it's just bad copies, and then it's getting a little better or a little worse at it.
Yeah, which could be. I mean, that's why we age.
Yeah, well, that's what she said. I think she said that's a genetic defect.
Yeah, it's every time a cell replicates, it makes it just a little worse. And when you have cells that copy like perfectly, I mean, that's essentially cancer. Like cancer is immortal because it can replicate itself and not like break down after all the time. It's just what it's making is not useful.
I don't know. I mean, we've never let it live long enough to find out what the fuck it's going to make. I mean, we can keep a body alive, right? After it's gone, we can keep a body alive. So what if somebody in science eventually was just like, well, just they had some kind of aggressive form of cancer, and they're like, just let it fucking go, and it might turn into Jesus.
I think I don't remember what kind of cancer it was, but so I think someone died of cancer and they kept it against like and didn't tell the family whatever, and they'd use that little bit of living like tumor or whatever to like discover ways to cure and treat some sorts of cancer, because cancer is kind of that big broad category we give to things that act similarly despite the fact that none of them are the same thing.
Okay, that's that's pretty interesting.
That's why when like, we cure one cancer we don't get the cure to the other ones because they're all different, and it's just what they do to the body is just kind of like we've kind of blanket termed that as cancer.
Yeah. What you said about like the whole not remembering the 3 days, that makes like a lot more sense to me now because like when she woke up in the tent, they had perfect memories from there on. But it was like when they first got in there, maybe it was just like basically it's the brain fucking like vomiting on
Like
itself.
turning on or something like that, and it kind of remembers everything that they knew or something. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's intended to be there. If it's just like you walk in there and it's just so fucky. Maybe your own brain waves don't make good connections until you adapt to it, and it starts to change you to it, adapt to be like terraform you to exist in the shimmer.
I mean, we know what everything else in the body, what its function is and what it does. We know what the brain's function is, but we don't know why it does what it does.
Yeah, and I think there's some stuff in the body we don't entirely know what it does.
I think we know things in the body like okay, so they just recently found out that there's like this super fucking thin layer between I think it is your epidermis and the muscle line. There's like this it's almost like a really thin reservoir of like water or liquid or something like that. And they never knew about it because when you cut it, like whenever it's sealed, it's like a fucking waterbed.
Yeah.
But the second you cut the skin, the water runs out of it. It collapses on itself, and we don't fucking see it. See it
Okay.
there. I think scientists are now thinking that that's how cancer moves through the body so rapidly. It's not moving through your blood. It's not like going through the organ, like picking up pieces of the cancer and moving to other parts. They think that it might be fragmenting inside of that liquid reservoir that's inside of your skin, and that's where it's moving everywhere.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'd never heard of that before.
Well, we're making some really fucking scary discoveries now. Did you know that they just discovered there's an ocean underneath the fucking ocean?
I know that there's currents underneath the ocean, but I
Not
don't know.
currents. Like there's a fucking like apparently somewhere deeper in the planet there are like mega oceans underneath
Not like underneath the crust of the earth or what?
something like that, and it has violent fucking waves that are crashing and shit. Sounds like what center Earth, hollow Earth shit,
Yeah.
But I
Maybe the
don't know.
core is real after all.
Yeah, still I think that's our best guess of what the fucking core of the planet is, but no one's really been there, and we don't have samples of it, so who the fuck knows? And what they say, like 90% of the ocean has been unexplored. We've been here for how long, and we're trying to get into space.
Yeah, we know more about the space than the oceans.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It's crazy. Like I don't, what the fuck's going on with us? Why do we make some of the decisions we do? As a species.
Yeah, we're self-destructive.
I guess. I mean, you know. I'm just praying for the comet. Like at this point, it's like every morning I wake up and it's like seems like we're like one step closer to nuclear war, and I'm just like, get it fucking over with. But then I look at my son and I'm like, God,
Please stop.
I hope the planet figures out
Yeah.
what the fuck's going on, so he has a world to walk into. But it's like, if the world is just getting fucking crazier and crazier, and people are just getting weirder and weirder, it's like maybe it's good that it just stops. I don't know. It's
That sort of cynical brain taking over.
it is. It's there's no fucking rest for the wicked, and it seems like the wicked are all that flourishing right now. Which was like when I was watching this movie and this thing's moving out and like just making whatever the fuck. It's like none of it to me was violent per se, but it's like maybe the bear attacked the girl because it didn't seem like it wanted to eat her.
Yeah, they found her in one piece for the most part, save for like the neck.
Yeah.
It didn't eat her.
Yeah,
It didn't look like it did anyway.
It snatched her ass up, took her out there, ate her fucking vocal cords, and it's like that one girl said, maybe she's not dead. Maybe a piece of her fused with that fucking thing and she's in there. Like maybe it would have been okay to let something like that take over the planet. And so instead of like, there's no motivation for like,
one harmonious blob.
yeah, there's no motivation. It's just to be, to make, to exist. And even then, it's like, does it even care about existence? Did it even want anything? Like, or was it just, I'm stuck here? So,
Just doing what it was meant to do.
yeah.
Kind of like you don't ask a virus or like a bacteria, like, what are you doing? It's there, and it's just trying to make more of itself and exist.
I mean, it has a function, but like this thing had no function. It was just kind of like, that's neat. Cool. Like the way they were looking at the shimmer and the stuff that was in it, things were familiar, but it was alien to them because of the way it was composed, the way that it was made. But like this thing was just like, I can only imagine what elements were on its planet that it had to work with to do whatever the fuck it wanted to do. Then it gets here and it's got like completely different elements. And it's just like, well, fuck, I'm just start jamming shit together and see if something interesting comes out of it.
Like even the way like when Benedict Wong's character was trying to like make sense of it, like near the end of the movie, he's like, well, was it silicone based? Was it like, I don't think she wasn't thinking about that shit.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't have my fucking microscope and fucking, I would just be like, can I take a little blood sample of you? Real quick?
Would you stop killing me so I can ask you some questions? It might not have a mind to know per se.
Yeah. Well, it's like that thing that Ventress became didn't become her until her blood went into it.
Yeah.
And once it had that sample, it's got everything it needs to fucking make a you. So it's like what happened with the alligator was somewhat self-contained, but it took a species that was nowhere near the alligator and started basically shoving that into it. And even then, it's not like the alligator wanted to eat anybody either. It just kind of attacked her, and it let her go, and her fucking foot was still there when they pulled her out of the water.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe like somewhere buried deep in alligator code, like at one point in time in the past, it was a shark or something like that, and it's unlocking like all of these, it's turning on all these genes that were turned off, and one of them just happened to be teeth rows.
I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, that could be it. I think the author of this book and like the director or the writers of this movie are like, let's just make some of the weirdest shit we can.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do know that the movie deviates apparently from the book. Because I do want to read the book
I
now.
didn't even know it was a book.
Yeah, apparently it was a book that was like adapted by
Alex Garland.
yeah, and that he changed some shit up, and I think that's why there wasn't as much talk around this movie as there should have been. Because I think the people who read the book,
The book people.
the book people poo-pooed it, and then the people who wanted to go see the movie were just like, okay, if they didn't like it, I guess I won't like it. But you show me one fucking movie where they wrote a book or made a movie off a book, and the book readers were like, bravo. I don't think that exists.
Lord of the Rings? Maybe. I know that they complain about a lot of stuff that's missing from it, but I think a lot of people that read the book were happy with the movie.
I hear one more motherfucker say Tom Bombadil.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna punch somebody in the fucking mouth.
Well, there's other shit in it that was changed and moved around too. That I never read the books because they're this long,
No, I don't. I'm good.
and I'm not a rapid reader.
You know what? I'm gonna have to show it to you when we leave, or when we finish this video. My father gave me some books that he had at his house. They're fucking Lord of the Rings first edition books
Okay.
in a collection. I don't think they're really first editions because, like, usually the first editions come out by themselves, but it's 3 books in one sleeve.
It might be like the first time they were all collected or something.
Something like that. I'm not sure, but when I saw it, I was like, so I brought it home and I was like, I'm going to read these. And I thought about it and was like,
I'm not.
these
touching- I'm not
these are
touching
collector's items. I'm not. Yeah, exactly. One day I hope you get rich on them, Jack. But is there anything else we wanted to add about this flick? I did want to put in a little small aside to say that, like, what Oscar Isaac and what she was at the end of the movie, like, I believe that was the Shimmer continuing to live. I think that was matter that was basically pulled into them, and our bodies are still, like, basically splitting and continuing to build upon themselves, but now that's in there, so now that's building on them too.
Yeah, who knows what they end up being? If
Yeah. They had the shiny eyes.
if they're even stable anymore, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, but it was interesting because she asked him, are you him? And she's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you you? And she's like,
Yeah, who knows? It's all very
And that
kind
was-
of trippy, and you can take what you want from it.
that was enough for them to be like, I love you, you crazy thing, you. But
Let's try again. So, what do you think IMDb gives Annihilation? That's a point number.
7.2.
Kind of close. 6.8.
Okay.
Metacritic has 59 scores, so we will ignore it because screw Metacritic.
Metacritic.
On Rotten Tomatoes, there's 331 reviews for the critics, so it's got a goodish spread.
Not bad.
What do you think the critics give Annihilation?
7.6.
88.
88. Okay.
I think this movie is a thinker. Therefore, critics are like, ooh.
I'm confused and therefore I like it. Okay.
What about the audience?
Well, I know it's not going to be 88. I'm going to say 62.
Closer. It's 67. And then the clip for the trailer is the bare mouth right next to Natalie Portman.
See, that makes it look bad. Like right there.
But it's tiny on the phone and
That almost looks
compressed.
like. Well, I mean, yes, but like that almost makes me. If you would have flipped her head around, that's almost like an Aliens knockoff. But like that almost looks like the fucking Oni mask that fucking samurai wore.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's not going to show up on camera, but it's the still from.
Go look at it. Go look at it on IMDb yourself.
It's a trailer still. That just kind of is. I wonder if what. Because I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't want to go into this movie knowing anything. I wonder if the trailer ends up just not selling what the movie is at all. If it sells it as like, oh, it's going to be a sci-fi thriller movie, and you go into it and you're like, this is much more heady and kind of like asking questions of you than you might expect.
I don't think the trailer gave you anything about like it taking matter and jamming it together to make new matter. I think it was basically aliens thingies going on in this place, and we got to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So I think they left it very vague intentionally, but I personally, I'm glad they did because
That's good.
I had an expectation when I walked into the movie, and the first 20 minutes of the movie, I was like, "Fuck, we are off the reservation."
Now there was one more thing I wanted to mention. It was like the scientist team that went in. It's like all female, and They didn't try to like Ghostbusters or to be like, ah, look at us, we're all girl power. It's just the way it was. And one of them could have been a man. It wouldn't have mattered. That could have all been like it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And I don't think people like no one SJW'd it, so it was just it's done well.
Yeah, well, I mean, they from what it seemed like, they threw every conceivable combination of whatever into that place.
And by SJW, I mean complain about it on Twitter. They're like, it's all women. Like, look at these fucking what these people are doing about our fucking
Why
movies
couldn't there
nowadays.
been a guy in the
Yeah.
yeah.
It's I just think it was I don't know, just done well and not draw attention to it for for like points or whatever.
The funny part about that is I didn't even think about that until you just said that. Like,
Because it's not that important. And a lot of movies, like a lot of companies, aka Disney, try to like hype it up to be like, look who we included, and look what we put in this movie to try to look at like brownie points. And this movie's just it's just a movie. Watch it.
well, it's the whole, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Please don't write letters.
No.
But it's all the inclusion. Mm-hmm. But it's like now we're doing it to death.
Well, it's not that it's not that it is occurring. It's that people that are making the movies are trying to show how we're not like other people. Look at what we're doing, and kind of focusing a laser on it, drawing attention to the fact that like, look, we're not like these other companies. We're being diverse and different, and that it just kind of makes it feel inauthentic.
Yeah, it makes it
and,
feel icky.
Like a stage play.
Well, it's
What is it? Diversity theater, I think is what people call it.
yeah, or it's representation, but then they find all the things that are like the hot kind of buzzwords at the time, and they're just like, I want all of that. South Park just did a fucking lampooning where they were like, put a chick in it and make it gay or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just that's what they had. And they've thrown military guys, they've thrown the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they've thrown all of that at it, and none of that has fucking paid off any dividends.
Now it's the science team.
So yeah, now it's a science team.
And it just doesn't. It's I don't know, diversity integrated to the point where like you don't fucking notice it, and it's just there. And that's a good movie.
It was very good. At no point did I even think about that. Like, oh, it's all chicks. I don't care.
Yeah, no. And I guess it helps that the internet didn't complain about it, because I heard about the Ghostbusters thing way too much about the people bitching about it, where I was more upset. Like, you mean it's a different world? Why don't they just make it in universe?
The thing that pissed me off about it is that they said that it was in that world, like it was in the timeline, and we went and saw it, and they fucking lied.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing, because like Kate McKinnon was great. I loved her as like the Egon character. Leslie Jones is fine, but I'm kind of getting tired of the super loud, oh Lord Jesus, you need fucking, like, I'm getting, I'm kind of getting, that's kind of played out too. Kristen Wiig.
Yes.
I really like her, but like her playing vacuous fucking airhead, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of past it. Like, she's done so many more really interesting characters on fucking SNL. It's like, I wish she'd stop getting like,
Well, have you seen her in Paul?
comedy straight person.
Have you seen her in Paul? The one with Simon Pegg
Seth Rogen?
and Nick Frost and
Seth Rogen at the voice.
was the alien.
Yeah.
She was in that one too,
Yeah,
and she was good.
I'll have to go back and watch it again.
She was like a religious character or whatever. And then, so if you're religious, explain me.
I'll have to watch it again.
I like that movie.
I watched Paul one time, and I remembered I liked it.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure, because I don't know if it's a great movie, but it's fun.
Well, I like the explanation they had in Paul, where it was like, they make all the alien movies to get you ready for the eventuality that...
It's how can you look so normal?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They're prepping you.
Yeah, they're prepping you.
And I thought that was a great explanation. But
We're not talking about Paul.
we're not talking about Paul.
Well, we're talking about aliens.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything else we need to add about Annihilation.
You see what we did? We used the shimmer, and we took two movies and we put them together.
And it's going to be awful.
Review.
It's going to be like Paul, a comedy movie, and then the bear comes out and eats Simon Pegg in the face.
Paul Annihilation. All right. Go watch if what we have said has not convinced you to go watch the movie, maybe it's not for you.
Yep. And according to IMDb, it's on Paramount Plus. So It shouldn't be that hard to track down. It sits on Pluto TV, but who the fuck knows?
Well, it's 2018 movie. So it should be on some recent. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's late. It's like 10:30 at night, and I've been wrangling a kid all day. Yeah, it's 2018 movie right before the COVID. So
Yeah, a couple years before COVID.
yeah, 2 years. Well, technically one, but who's counting?
Yeah.
It ripped through the fucking gate. It cut it like butter. Yeah. But, oh man, it was so good.
This movie's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a thinker. It's kind of a thriller. It's got horror bits in it. It's good. I think it's worth it.
It's got so many really pretty things to look at.
Yeah, the CGI is wonderful.
It really is. And the bear. The fucking bear. God damn that thing. I swear to God, I literally was like, geek. And then I was obsessed with it. I kept watching it over and over again, listening to it. All right, but.
That just means there's one more question.
Oh, yeah. Do you think it was a brown bear or a black bear? Because I think it was a black bear.
Where even were they? Because they were in the South, right? I think it would be a brown bear. Or a black bear, rather.
I'm not sure, but when it walked by that one time, it looked like a brown bear on the front when it was like front shot, but when it walked past her, it looked like a big brown butt or a big black butt.
Who knows? It could have just been. We took two bears and we. You got black bear and my brown bear. You got brown bear and my black bear.
Two great bears that grow great together. Nick,
Yes.
have you ever seen The Crow?
I have not seen The Crow. I have. I don't know. I've been adjacent to it because I think it was a movie my brother used to love. I think back in like 1990 something or other, he dressed up as the Crow. I don't know. Is he called the Crow?
His name is Eric Draven.
Okay, he dressed up as the Crow for Halloween.
Oh, well, okay.
And that's about it. He had like a Crow poster, and I'm like, whatever.
I was obsessed. When I was younger, I was obsessed with it. J.O. Barr, the comic book that he made, was fucking awesome. And then they made the movie, and I was so excited. And then things happened before the movie got released, and I was so fucking bummed.
Yeah.
But
Well, I guess now I'll finally have my chance to see it, and I don't know much about it other than, well, I'll leave it.
I'm glad I haven't shown you clips or any of that shit. I
think there's bits I know about it, like he's on a revenge kick or something like that, but I don't know for certain.
Not confirming or denying anything.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, go watch the movie The Crow.
Yeah, if you can track it down.
With Brandon Lee. It's got to be. Okay. If you can't find it on a pay service, go find one of your goth friends and go, you have a DVD of The Crow? And they'll be like, do I? Criterion or fucking directors? Like, that someone's got the fucking movie in your social circle. Trust me.
Yeah, as long as you're old. Or goth. I guess it probably is.
Eat my sack.
I mean, I would be the sort of person that would have it too. Like someone that grew up in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. No, I've got like 5 copies of it over there. You want some Crow? I got your Crow.
Look, we're counting crows over here.
Yeah. You want the bad second movie that came out? I got that too. Oh, God. We don't talk about that one.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Join us next week for a vampire movie.
Bring a friend.
Yeah.
Bring 2 friends.
Make a watch party of it.
Yeah.
Or put us on in your car while you're going to work.
That'd be wonderful. Blow us up, people. Come on. Like, help a brother out. There's so many other people out there that have, like, okay YouTube channels. Yeah, we're one of them. But, like, it's our time. It's our time down here.
It's our time. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.